Ladies and gentlemen, KocoSports.com proudly presents the Boom Boom Room, and of course, I am the sexiest man on all of Wrestling Radio. That's right, Boom Boom here, shaking the room live from the RVA, Richmond, Virginia, and of course, coming to you live here. We're going to talk about some All Elite Wrestling. Of course, last night was episode 2 of Wednesday Night Dynamite. Of course, the first thing that we always talk about is, was it a win? Was it a loss? Was it a tie? I'm going to give it a win. Big thumbs up from Booms here. I actually found this show to be just a little bit more enjoyable than. I mean, last week was still pretty good. I still think that was a good show, but I think this show was a little bit more enjoyable. It was actually kind of funny because if you've ever just been watching something, you're just kind of realize, oh wait a minute, I haven't looked at my watch, I haven't looked at my phone, I haven't, looked at anything. And you're like, how long have I been watching this? So I checked and I finally just checked the time just to see, and it was like 45 minutes. It was 45 minutes had gone by before I realized that I had even been on this show for the longest time. I had planned on trying to flip back and forth between all Elite Wrestling in NXT, but wound up staying with All Elite Wrestling the entire time. A couple of things I can credit for that is when All Elite Wrestling went to commercial break, like with a match going on, they would do like a small screen. They would have the commercial on the left side of the screen, and then they would have a smaller screen on the right hand side. Granted, there's no sound, but it had the extra, so you could follow along what was going on during the commercial break. So there was no reason for me to flip channels, and I think that's a very smart move for All Elite Wrestling because they know that people, face it, people, we hate ads, we hate commercials. I mean, there are people who pay extra money to watch YouTube. They get YouTube Red specifically so they don't have to deal with fucking commercials. I run Ad Blocker Plus because I hate advertisements, I hate commercials, I hate all that stuff. So they kind of know that, you know, instead of risking your audience, hitting like a button, boom, going over to USA, watching NXT, and maybe not getting them back or not getting them back as soon, they do the picture in picture, which I love. Now, I don't know about the advertisers. I know from a TV perspective, I don't know if the advertisers will be down with it because as an advertiser, you could have the argument that if they're watching the picture in picture, they're really not paying attention to your product, which is what you want. But that's just the TV side of me coming in here. But anyway, overall, good show. Let's kind of break it down a little bit here. The action. Now, of course, we start off with the I guess quarterfinals of the tag team tournament here. We had Private Party taking on the Young Bucks. Uh, Best match of the night. This is the other thing I like about All Elite Wrestling over WWE or on the main products because with WWE you have a tendency to have welcome here, we're at whatever town, okay, and music hits, out comes an authority figure or somebody, and they're going to talk for like maybe 20 minutes before we even get to the first match. No, All Elite Wrestling, they just said hello. Here's what we got coming up here. And they laid out everything so well. They laid out here's the two teams. Here's the stakes. Here's why these two teams are having a match. Here's why it's important. And I think they did really well. They did really well with the Young Bucks. They did a really well package video with Private Party. Lets us know who those guys are. Why should we care? Young Bucks come out to much pomp and circumstance, and then you had Private Party come out, and this is something I've never seen them do before, and I love this little touch. They had a little velvet rope right there at the entrance ramp, and they had one of the members of the security team sitting there like he's the bouncer at a club, and here comes Private Party. He opens up the velvet rope, lets them through, and then he puts the velvet rope back, like you would see at a high end club. Uh, that's a little touch, and I absolutely love it. I thought it was I just thought it was great. And then we go out there and we have the match between the Young Bucks and Private Party. It gets crazy, and I don't want to go as far as to say that. Hey, I want us to give a shout out to Andy Paps. What's up, Paps? I want to give a shout out to the Young Bucks here. I mean, they really worked a good tag team match. By the way, the Private Party's move, that gin and juice, really growing on me. I really love it. It's kind of unique. It's the combination of two different moves, but I really love it. I also want to say that Private Party has stepped their game up. When we first saw them, I was like, I'm not so sure about these guys. I think Mark Quinn's got some potential here. I'm not so sure about Isaiah Cat, but no, both of these guys were fucking on. Both of these guys, Quinn was doing those multiple dives to the outside. He would go and dive on the outside, get back in, go back, dive out to the other side, rinse, repeat. He must have done that like 4 times. I do love Nick Jackson's multiple uses of the Northern Lights suplex. No, I think that was Matt. Anyway, forgive me there. It was crazy, but ultimately, Private Party gets the win with a little bit of a roll up. 1, 2, 3. They're advancing now to the semifinals. And, this actually kind of shocked, but in a good way. It shocks me in a good way because going into this, I thought, okay, the Young Bucks are probably not going to win this. But I thought what was going to happen is the Young Bucks were going to go all the way to the finals, and they were going to put over whoever in the finals. But no, they went ahead and put over Private Party in episode 2 here early on, which the Young Bucks can bounce back from that, and it gets them free so they can go deal with Chris Jericho's faction and what's going on with the Elite against the Elite. That makes sense. So it frees them up. So the storyline perspective, that makes sense. It gives the rub. It gives a big boost to Private Party, who I'm now a believer. Those two guys, again, really, in my opinion, stepped up their game. And it's like, oh, now I know why the young guys, or the Young Bucks, the Young Bucks, went to House of Glory and got them. I mean, these guys are very talented. So props to them for putting on just a absolutely stellar match. Um, they won that, and it was a clean win. That's another thing I'm going to talk about a little bit later as the night goes on. Well, next we have Chris Jericho and joint flanked by Santina Ortiz, Jake Hager, and Sammy Guevara. And to me, it didn't come off as a scripted promo. It was great. It was a great promo because it didn't feel like it was scripted. He basically just said, these are my most trusted cohorts here, so we'll call ourselves the Inner Circle. So that makes sense. They plugged the T-shirts at Pro Wrestling Tees, which, by the way, as soon as they mentioned that, people started flocking to Pro Wrestling Tees. Boom, crashed their servers. So tell me some people ain't watching this shit. They crashed fucking Pro Wrestling Tees website. That's how much fucking traffic they got. Um, I love it. I love how he shut down the "We the People" chant. It's like that sucks. It's dead. It's buried. It was bad creative, and we're not going to talk about it anymore. I love that. I also love when the fans were, because one of Jericho's things was, you need to thank me for, saving All Elite Wrestling, putting it on the map. And when people started chanting, thank you, Jericho, it's like, okay, well, why don't you do me a favor and shut the hell up? I love that. He kind of gives you something, then he takes it away like a good villain. He gives you something, you think you're okay, you're going to give him what he want. Nope, takes it away, twists it around on you. He puts over Sammy Guevara as a Spanish god. Puts over Hager, which by the way is a shoot. He's an undefeated MMA fighter. Puts over Santana and Ortiz. I thought they were going to get a new name because they couldn't call him LAX, but no, I guess they're just going to stick with Inner Circle right now. I like it because it's a complete foil to the Elite. I mean, you got the big tough guy, the Enforcer, you've got the head there, the established star, you've got the future and Sammy Guevara, and then you've got currently good stars right now with Santana Ortiz. I thought that was really nicely done, and I can't speak enough how refreshing it is because I don't feel like it was scripted. Just to hear Jericho do his thing was just amazing. So great segment there. Next, we get to a number one contenders match between Jimmy Havoc and Darby Allin. By the way, can I just say that Darby Allin is really fucking cool? I love his entrance music. I love his look, with the half of the face painted. I wish they would go a little bit more into his backstory. That's another thing I kind of wish All Elite Wrestling would do is kind of delve a little bit more into these characters, kind of explain who these guys are, why they're doing it. One of the things that they explained about Darby Allin earlier on in All Elite Wrestling, back I think it was like Fighter Fest, that he was when he was 6, he was in a car crash, and it kind of had an effect on him. And plus, he was a professional skateboarder at one point, so it makes sense why everything comes around. And Jimmy Havoc. Now, I'm going to admit, when I saw this on paper going into this, I was like, oh my god, how are they going to do this? Are they going to do a street fight light, or are they going to go? Are they going to bleed? How far is TNT going to let them go on air? And much to my surprise, it's a pleasant surprise, by the way, they actually went out and had a match, and it was actually a decent match. It was really, I mean, yeah, I mean they kind of tossed each other around, but it made sense for their characters. They start, Havoc bit Darby Allin on the hand, and then Allin returned the favor, biting Jimmy Havoc. Finishes him off with the coffin drop, which that move right there, the coffin drop, it's nothing really spectacular. It's just an elbow drop, but the way he does it, it just looks so goddamn cool. I love that. I mean, it's just I love the coffin drop. He gets the win. He's gonna move on, and he gets the opportunity to face Chris Jericho for the championship next week, which I'll tell and I'll tell you why. I think this is a smart idea. Um, Darby Allin took Cody Rhodes to the limit. They went to a 20-minute time limit draw. They set it up, where Cody saved face because he was in the process of pinning Darby Allin after hitting the crossroads for the 1, 2, 3, but the time expired before the referee could hit three. And Darby Allin's like, you know what? I went the distance with you. I went the 20-minute time limit. You couldn't beat me. And I think they're going to try to send a message here next week by having Jericho beat Darby Allin, uh, decisively to kind of, because you've got the championship match against Cody coming up next month, I think on the 9th at Full Gear. But great showing by these. Then we had the women's tag team match. We had Riho and Dr. Britt Baker taking on B. Priestley and Emi Sakura. Uh, Not much to complain about here. I like the ladies here. I like AEW. It looks like their shtick, their little niche is going to be the Joshis. Uh, Kenny Omega is pretty much in charge of that, and he's been finding good. He's been finding a lot of good talent overseas. Been showcasing them. It's something that we don't typically get to see over here, so that's kind of new. It's kind of fresh. By the way, if anybody with All Elite Wrestling is watching this, and I know you are, not really, I think that I would really like to see Josie. Let's pretend I could talk this time. Joshis versus Luchadores. It's kind of like who would win. What's cooler, ninjas versus pirates. I want to see Joshis versus Luchadores. So somebody please put that in their back pocket and please book that in the near future. Uh, Britt Baker gets the win when she puts Emi Sakura in a submission hold via. It's like a combination of like the was it the brutalizer, but with like a mandible claw, which makes sense because she's a dentist. Uh, Emi Sakura taps out. The ladies win, and Britt Baker is going to get a shot at the AEW Women's Championship against Riho next week. Still think it's a smart move because, again, wins and losses matter. Uh, Britt Baker did suffer a black eye in that match against B. Priestley. Is this just bad luck, or is this something they're doing, they're working with? Because the first time they square off, the very first thing B. Priestley does in All Elite Wrestling is give Britt Baker a concussion. Then now, and so they made a storyline out of that where they just can't stand each other and they're going to go after one another. And then now, Priestley in their next confrontation with each other, Priestley gives Baker a black eye. So, and by the way, I didn't get to say this because we didn't do a review on this last week, but I think it was a smart move putting the belt on Riho. I really do. Some people thought it should have gone to Jax. It could have gone to just maybe Riho's not over because she can't speak English. She can't cut a promo. But well, you got Kenny Omega there. You got Michael Nakazawa. You can get somebody to interpret. And the crowd loves her. The crowd popped for her when she won. The crowd popped for her when she came out. So I think she's over. I still think it's a smart decision to put the championship on Riho. So good move by All Elite Wrestling. I mean, what do you think about their women's division? I think they're going to build towards a few things because if they're going to treat the men and women the same, I think they're going to eventually come up with a AEW Women's Tag Team title belts. Because if you're going to treat men and women, equally in this, I mean, why not have a women's tag division? And the young, I mean, it accomplishes two things. One, it accomplishes their mission of men, women being treated equally. The Young Bucks are big on tag team wrestling, so I mean, it makes sense. And do I think Britt Baker's going to win? I don't know. Maybe they're going to have Bea Priestley come back out there and do something about it. Try to finish up where she left off last week, build up something there. I just don't think it's a smart idea to put the belt on somebody and then just have them lose it 2 weeks later. I mean, I really think you should spend some time here, but stranger things have happened. The next after that, we got a video package for the Best Friends. Of course, they're going to face SCU next week in the tag team tournament. One of the announcers, and by the way, they never did anything backstage. Everything is done out there on the stage. I mean, aside from like the video packages, aside from that, like interviews that had already been pre-shot, they've never once, at least not in the past 2 weeks here that they've been doing this, they've never once been backstage doing, okay, I'm back here live with the Best Friend. No, they're out there, the Best Friends. They're like, well, what do you think about this? Well, you know what? You tell him what he thinks about it. You pan over, and it's Orange Cassidy. He gives him like a very lax thumbs up. Lights go out. I thought the Dark Order was going to attack him. They're going to continue that storyline, but no. They moved on to the next match: Shawn Spears versus Jon Moxley. Lights go out. Lights come back on, and it is Shawn Spears sitting in the steel folding chair. Picks it up, folds it, starts walking. Tully Blanchard joins them. And they're going to have a match against Jon Moxley, by the way, looking just as ripped and in shape as we left off before the MRSA infection. Wearing the same tights he wore in New Japan during the G1. It's actually refreshing to see that for a change. The match was good and everything was fine with it. But did anybody out there actually think for like 1 second that Jon Moxley was in danger of losing this match? I mean, I don't. I mean, it was a good match. It was fine. Shawn Spears. I still think he made the best move going to making the jump over to All Elite Wrestling, because it's either he jobs in WWE and he gets on TV once every 4 months, or he can get screen time and lose there. And I think it was about a 12-minute match, so definitely more exposure right now than I think he got all of his time on the main roster with WWE. But if it was me booking this match, I mean, you could have done everything. The only thing I would have done different is I don't know if I would have. Okay, you would have to like read like the Best Friends segment, but that's fine. That's a short and easy fix. You just do something different. But I would have had Jon Moxley come out first. And then I would have had, as soon as he's about ready to get to the ring apron, I would have had Shawn Spears come out from behind, and just clock him with the chair. I mean, just jump him before the bell. Just boom, boom, boom. 3 chair shots right there. Lays him out on the floor. Boom, hits him on the 4th. He starts putting the boots to him. Him and Tully Blanchard, pick up Jon Moxley. They roll him into the ring, and they're yelling at the referee, ring the bell, and he starts putting the boots to him, and then you would have Moxley in a hole to start with, and then it's like, because 1-on-1, I mean, I don't think Moxley's going to lose this, but if you jump him before the bell, he's been beat with a foreign object, you got Tully Blanchard distracting the referee, so Spears can get in some more cheap shots. Okay, now the good guys in peril here, because he didn't get a chance to even get started. He got jumped before the bell. He didn't even have a time to take off his jacket. He's got the crap beat out of him. I mean, it seems a little hackneyed, but I think it would have worked in that instance. But Jon Moxley gets the win with the paradigm shift, or the Death Rider, whatever you want to call it. Afterwards, Kenny Omega showed up with a barbed wire baseball bat and a barbed wire broom. tossed the bat to Moxley. It was looked like these two were going to have a showdown here. Some little unfinished business, but he was jumped from behind by Pac, who had spent the match on commentary. By the way, and I know they're working this in the storyline because they brought this up, and it's a good point, is Pac brought up the point. It's like, well, you know what? Look at me. Look at my record. Why are these other people getting an opportunity before I am? Good, good. But he clocks Omega from behind. Omega goes down. Moxley just kind of loses interest. I think it's kind of like, he wants to fight him. He doesn't want to like pick up the scraps because this is like if he was a bad guy. I mean, yeah, he would have been great to pick up the scraps, but it's not like that. So they just kind of moved on from there. Then we get to the main event: Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara versus Dustin Rhodes and Hangman Page. I think this was a really good sprint there. I think who was it? No, it wasn't Andy Paps. Hang on, let me look in the comments. No, it was Tyson Lennox. Tyson Lennox says Hangman Page is incredibly bland character-wise. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think wrestling-wise, he's gotten a lot better because if you look, I think I really started to notice he was really picking up last year when he was in the G1 with New Japan. But this year, he's gotten a little bit better. I like, he called, as we call it, cowboy shit. I really love that. And I think they kind of backed away from that. And I don't know why, because I think that was finally starting to give him some individuality, some personality. He just kind of comes off, right now, without the cowboy shit, he just comes off as a guy playing cowboy. And by the way, I love you, Paige, but just pro tip, if you're going to wear chaps to the ring, you've got to ask yourself one question. Am I Stan Hansen? And if the answer is no, I am not Stan Hansen, then the answer is no, you cannot wear chaps. You should not wear chaps. This goes for a lot of things. It's like, there's little top knots you see some people wear. And in that case, you've got to ask yourself, am I Toshiro Mifune? And if the answer is no, I am not Toshiro Mifune, then no, you cannot have a top knot. If you don't know who that is, consult your local library. But as far as the chaps goes, only Stan Hansen can get away with wearing the chaps to the ring. You, not so much. Just everything else is fine. Keep that. I like the bandana over the face. I like the link at the rope. That's great. I love, at the last pay-per-view when you rode in on the horse. Do more of that. More of that, just not the chaps. Dustin Rhodes doing a great job as the mentor, really putting everybody over. But eventually there was some shenanigans. It was like wrestling stuff. Jack Hager, clotheslined Page to hell and back on the outside. This allowed a little bit of an opportunity. There's a little bit of a distraction, so Dustin Rhodes gets laid out and gets hit with the Judas Effect elbow. Bad guys win. Immediately, Page and Hager start brawling. They go to the back. One thing I didn't like here was the lights went out, and when it came back on, there was Cody in the ring attacking both Guevara and Jericho. I don't think they needed to do that. I mean, it would have been somebody else altogether. I mean, you've already cut out the lights once with the best friends, and you'd done that just a few minutes earlier. I don't think that was necessary. I think he just could have run in. Then, of course, he gets blindsided by Santana and Ortiz. Then MJF arrives. It looks like, for a second, he was about to hit Cody, but no, he clears out the inner circle. There's this big brawl. Jericho, he sneaks out, and then Darby Allin comes out, rides his skateboard down the ramp, and then attacks Jericho. The faces are going to stand tall. I love Jericho's line. It's like, you know what, I'm going to beat your ass, Cody. And then, you know what, Darby Allin? Your funeral's next week, bitch. And then, boom, goes off the air. Great show altogether. I'm thoroughly entertained. As of me recording this right now, which is roughly 2:42 p.m. Eastern Time here in Virginia, I have not seen the final scores yet, ratings-wise from Nielsen, so I'll be eagerly anticipating that and ready to keep moving. But overall, great show. Give it a win. Real quickly, for those of you still watching, and I do want to thank everybody for watching live here. Thank you very, very much here. Want to talk briefly about NWA Power review. This is, Ranton did a good video on this, so if you want to check his stuff out, I would recommend that. But I saw this on their YouTube page. They've gotten some groove for it here. This is old school. Oh, by the way, Andy Paps wanted me to mention here that he ordered his Inner Circle shirt before the site crashed. Congratulations to you too. And he wants to think AEW should add like a mid card title. I agree, and he wants to put it on page, which I agree with. I just don't think you need to do it right now. I think now that you got the champion established, your promotion champion. You're in the process of about to crown your tag team champions. You've had a small little couple of events right here to get your women's champion crown. Let's let that play out a little bit, and then once things kind of settle down, I think I would definitely add a mid card title. But anyway, got distracted there. That tends to happen a lot on this channel. We're gonna go to the NWA Power. This is a throwback to the 1970s. This is definitely a throwback to studio shows. This is back, particularly like Memphis, areas like that. You would set up like a small TV studio. This is definitely before my time here, even though I'm old, but not that old, thank God. They didn't really shoot anything camera wise above the top rope. Everything was just kind of like low and looking in. This is, what wrestling used to be. Let's see, you had Nick Aldous get interviewed. He's fired up to be the champion. He's really putting over everything. And then we have a little squash match here. It's less than 2 minutes. We have Zane and Dave Dawson, which, by the way, was Dave Dawson, was that the mechanic, the Mike the Mechanic or whatever from Lucha Underground? I could completely wrong on that, but it looks just like him if not. Versus Billy Buck and Sal Ren Araro. I just butchered his name and I apologize. Basically, Dawson said they'll fight anywhere, anytime, and we don't care how we win. There was a funny commercial. It was an old school throwback commercial for Austin Isles Wrestling College. Austin Isles was pretty big in at least in the South way back in the day. I'm originally from Birmingham, so he was kind of big down there when the Continental Wrestling days. When the Fullers ran that promotion. You had Eli Drake come out there. He cut a promo, and then they're talking about this is what wrestling should be. Then he immediately goes in there and races Caleb Conley, who was treated like a jobber, unfortunately. About a 4-minute squash match here. So Eli Drake beats Caleb Conley. Then you have Josephus. He comes out and he wants to fight Tim Storm, but instead James Storm comes out, and they had like this back and forth. They were chasing each other around. Then you had the wild card tag team match here. The wild cards, Isaacs and Royce Isaacs and Lattimore. Basically, it's the former Bram. Taking on Danny White and Mims. They get the win like a squash match in 2 minutes. Afterwards, Eddie Kingston, the King of Diamonds, comes out and he calls out Latimer and he calls out Isaacs. And they look, but that means basically they're arguing back and forth. Homicide comes in to back up Kingston. They get separated, and then meanwhile, James Storm and Josephus start brawling behind them. They get separated. That led to a quick match between James Storm and Josephus. Basically, Storm hit like a super kick, gets the win within 5 seconds. Then we get to the main event. We have Nick Aldis versus Tim Storm. The stipulations are it's title versus opportunity. So if Nick Aldis loses, he loses the championship. But if Tim Storm loses, then he never ever gets another shot at the NWA Championship. It was a good old school match here. It went about 12 minutes. There was some parts where Storm was pulling out all the stops, tried to hit the perfect Storm, could not finish him. There was a part where the referee was distracted. He hit a low blow. There was a part where he ducked out of the way, and Aldis clothesline Camille on the outside, but ultimately it wasn't enough. There was a quick roll up. It was a cradle for the win. Nick Aldis wins. he cuts a promo. He puts over Tim Storm, calls him a hell of a man, and they walk out. Overall, it was good. I'm trying to watch how I say this here because I don't want people to get the impression that I hated the show because I didn't. I liked it. I just don't know how well this is going to go over. I mean, first of all, props to the NWA for doing something different, and you can't do in this world right now, in the landscape of professional wrestling right now, you cannot do WWE like. You can't try to be like everybody else. You got to do something different to make yourself stand out. They did that with the studio show. That being said, I don't know how long it's gonna get over with the fans because I mean it's still in a studio, and once the novelty wears off, once the whole nostalgia bomb wears off, is this going to be around for the long term? I have no clue. Also, is this going to bring in new fans? Now, all the people they interviewed were people like, believe it or not, actually older than me, going, "Oh my God, yes, this is great. This is the NWA, the way things used to be." Yeah. Well, I mean, are you going to get anybody? You're going to get any teenagers? You're going to get any young adults? I mean, you're going to get the older fans. Definitely the people over 40. You may get some little kids on that one because that's who's coming along with them. But I just don't know if it has the staying power. And I just also, I don't know if I could get over. I don't know if I can get past Jim Cornette at commentary. I respect Jim Cornette for what he's done and his passion for the business and him being basically becoming a historian for it, saving all this. But I just remember all the fucking shit he's talked in the past about all this other shit, about all this other stuff, and they're pretty much doing the same thing that he criticized, but because it's the NWA doing it, then suddenly it's okay. But that's just a different rant for a different day. Maybe I'll get in and do that in a separate video. But overall, I'm going to watch it again next week and to see what happens. I just really wish NWA would do more than squash matches, followed up by like one decent match. Now, I'm not saying everything has to be, this 20-minute barn burner, but, you know, who is everybody? Why are they there? And as a squash match, doing a squash match to get somebody over is not necessarily a bad idea, but when out of all the matches, like what the 5 matches there, 4 of them are squash matches, and your main event is only 12 minutes. I just don't know how long that formula is going to fly. I mean, tell me who these guys are, what makes them tick, why are they out there, why should I care about them, what are the stakes, and let's just keep on moving here. Let's just show out here. You just, because if it's going to be, okay, tag team A versus Jimmy and Johnny Boots and Tights, then okay, I don't care. I mean, you can do that, maybe one of those matches, that's fine, but give me some competitive matches. Give me something. Give me another thing I couldn't get past is the whole, everybody trying to get up in their face. Like I think it was Lattimore and Isaacs, when they got, when they were, confronted with Eddie Kingston and Homicide. They get so pissed off. I mean, there's Eddie Kingston running his mouth right there. And then, they're getting so pissed off, they shove that podium out of the way. And there's nothing between either one of them but air and opportunity. And here comes Homicide. And I'm like, yeah, here we go. And they're just mouthing off at each other. And I'm like, okay, there's nobody there. There's nobody there to stop you. Fucking kick somebody's ass. If you can't do that for whatever reason, you need to have like a third party there. You need to have Cornette. You need to have that whatever fucking 16-year-old kid was up there doing commentary with them up there being like, guys, remember we were sent notification from the NWA. If you participate in extracurricular activity here outside this ring, you're subject to fines and suspension. If you say something like that, then that makes sense of why they're not going to immediately throw fucking haymakers, because they don't want to get fined, they don't want to get suspended. And when they do that, it makes it a bigger deal because, like, oh my God, he faces a fine suspension because he attacked somebody at the interview set outside the ring, during outside of a sanctioned match. I think you could do that, but it just looks ridiculous. It's just like two dogs barking at each other, just yap 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 yap. Either side of a window, and then you open the window and it's just like, okay, we're not going to fight anymore. And then I think it looked ridiculous for, a grown man to chase another grown man around a studio. The whole Josephus, Tim Storm, or they're kind of chasing each other around the studio. Remember, they've got people all over them. I mean, they've got security, they've got people in suits all over them, and it just looks ridiculous. A grown man chasing another grown man around the studio. That just looks so fucking stupid. So I really wish they wouldn't do that. But all in all, um, I'll keep watching. I want to see where this goes. I want to see how this show develops. I want to see if they bring anything new. I want to see if they change up the format. I mean, this is one TV taping. Don't know how many episodes it is, at least not off the top of my head. Let's see where it goes, and after that TV taping, let's see if they make any changes. That's what I'm interested to see. Do they get feedback? Do they see what's going on? Whew, God, I did not mean to go for long, but I've gone on for like about 35 minutes now. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this bad boy up. I want to thank everybody for joining me here live. Andy Paps, Lennox, all you guys. God bless you. Thank you for tuning in. Sorry we've been sketchy as fuck here at KocoSports. Coco and I are going to try to do something in the morning, my time, in the evening. Montaku says that's how those 70s shows were. Boom, 10-minute time limits, jobbers getting destroyed. Now the time limits, I'm fine with. I'm absolutely fine with that. Jobbers getting destroyed sometimes before moving their tracksuit. I understand that. But you just don't want to see it every match. Every match can't be the fucking squash match. But anyway, as I was saying here, thank you, Montaku. Thank you, Tyson Lennox. Thank you, Andy Paps. God bless you. Coco and I are going to try to do something early in the morning, my time, late at night, his time. Time differences, time zones. Between Virginia and Japan. We're going to try to do something, and so that's going to be over on Twitch. So if you don't have a Twitch, just please sign up for it and go look up KocoSports, KOCO Sports, and that's where you're going to find Coco most of the time. He is doing. He's been playing a lot of video games. He's either playing Fire Pro Wrestling, NHL hockey, or Madden. That's what he's playing. Go buy his book, Operation Freak Show, on Amazon.com. Excuse me. I'm going to keep cranking out these reviews. Now, I'm waiting a little bit here. I've got to watch WoW, Women of Wrestling, and I'm going to turn around and watch NXT as soon as that pops up on demand. And hopefully I'm going to have something that I'll be able to talk about that tomorrow. We'll probably talk a little bit more about All Elite Wrestling, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about the NWA, maybe some Major League Wrestling. Depends on what's going on here. But thank you very much. And make sure to spread the word, like, subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And finally, if you're interested in doing this, we're looking for help. And every time we've done this, it's failed. But who knows? If you're interested in joining along here, we're looking for reviewers. We're looking for people who can review anything, anytime. You want to review AEW? Let me know. You want to review Impact? You want to review Major League Wrestling? You want to review SmackDown, Raw, WoW, Evolve? If you want to go, talk about stuff going on in Mexico, talking about stuff going on in Japan, Germany, England, you guys let me know. And we'll try to set you up here. We're looking for more reviewers to give us a hand here because, this is me and Coco can only do so much. We're only two people, but so we're looking for like an army of reviewers. And so if you're interested, either message me down here in the comment section or shoot me an email. Shoot me an email at boomboom418@yahoo.com. That's boomboom418@yahoo.com. And if you can, send me like a little mini tape. Like, do like a, Fave 5, my favorite 5 managers of all time, my favorite 5 tag teams of all time, my 5 favorite moments of All Elite Wrestling this past week. Just whatever you want to do. Just, I want to get a feel for what you can do, what you can't do. And you know what? It's like, but I don't know what I'm doing. Do you think I knew what the fuck I was doing when I picked up this fucking shit in goddamn 2006? You think I had any fucking clue? No, you just learn as you go, and I'm willing to, pass it along to the next generation here. So, just let me know if you're interested. If you know someone who is, pass it along to them. But that's going to do it for me, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. So, till next time, kids, the booms went bang, and I am out.